Good morning, students. Myself, Deepika Singh, Assistant Professor, School of Pharmacy, BBD University, Lucknow. Today I will discuss about the topic Introduction of Tablet, Ideal Characteristic of the Tablet, Classification of Tablet, Excipients which are used in the formulation of tablet. Introduction of tablet. Tablet is defined as a compressed solid dosage form containing medicaments with or without excipients. Pharmaceutical tablets are solid, flat or biconvex dishes unit dosage form which are prepared by compressing a drug or a mixture of drug with or without diluent. It is the most popular dosage form and 70% of the total medicine are dispersed in the form of the tablet. Pharmaceutical tablets represent unit dosage forms in which one usual dose of the drug has been accurately placed. By comparison, liquid oral dosage forms such as syrup, suspension, emulsions, solution and elixir are usually designed to contain one dose of the medication in 5 to 30 ml. Advantages of tablets: easy to administer, easy to dispense, they are more stable as compared to other dosage forms, accuracy in dose, bitter and nauseous substance can be easily dispensed, light and compact, economical in nature, sustained release product is possible by enteric coating. One of the major advantages of tablet over capsule and other dosage form has been recently proved significant is that the tablet is an essentially tamper-proof dosage form. They are unit dosage form and offer the greatest capabilities of all oral dosage form for the greatest dose precision and the least content variability. Cost is lowest of all oral dosage form, easiest and cheapest to package and strip, easy to swallowing with least tendency for hang up. They are better suited to large scale production than other unit oral form. They have the best combined property of the chemical, mechanical and microbiologic stability of all the oral dosage form. Objectionable odor and bitter taste can be masked by coating technique. They lend themselves to certain special release profile products such as enteric or delayed release products. Product identification is easy and rapid, requiring no additional steps when employing an embossed or a monogrammed punch face. Disadvantages of tablet: problem with compression to crystalline drug. Some drugs resist compression into dense, compact owing to their amorphous nature or flocculent or low density character. Hygroscopic drugs are not suitable for compressed tablet. Drugs with low or poor water solubility, slow dissolution may be difficult to formulate. Cost of production may be increased because of coating and encapsulation to remove bitter and unpleasant taste. Swallowing is difficult especially for the children and unconscious patient. Drugs with poor wetting, slow dissolution properties, optimum absorption, high in GIT may be difficult to formulate or manufacture as a tablet that will still provide adequate or full drug bioavailability. Bitter tasting drugs, drugs with an objectionable odor or drugs that are sensitive to oxygen may require encapsulation or coating. In such cases, capsule may offer the best and lowest cost. Types of tablet. First is the tablet ingested orally, further divided in 7 groups. First is the compressed tablet. Example of the compressed tablet is paracetamol tablet. Then multiple compressed tablet, repeat action tablet, delayed release tablet, Example is enteric coated bisacodyl tablet. Then sugar coated tablet, for example multivitamin tablet. Then sixth one is the film coated tablet. Example is metronidazole tablet. And last is the chewable tablet, for example antacid tablet. Tablets used in oral cavity is divided into four parts. First is the buccal tablet, for example vitamin C tablet. Then second one is the sublingual tablet, example is Vicks menthol tablet. Third is the crutches or lozenges, and last is the dental cone. Tablet administered by other route. First one is the implantation tablet, for example testosterone tablet. Second is the vaginal tablet, for example clotrimazole tablet. Tablets used to prepare solution divided into four parts. First is the effervescent tablet, for example disprin tablet, that is the aspirin. Second is the dispensing tablet, for example enzyme tablet, that is the digiplex. Third is the hypodermic tablet, and fourth is the tablet triturate, for example enzyme tablet digiplex. Tablet ingested orally. Orally ingested tablets are designed to be swallowed intact with the exception of the chewable tablets. First is the compressed tablet. These are uncoated tablets made by the compression of the granules. These provide rapid disintegration and drug release. Most tablets containing drugs intended to exert a local effect in the gastrointestinal tract are of this type. These drugs are typically water insoluble and include such therapeutic categories as the antacid and adsorbent. Other drugs in this group are intended to produce a systemic effect. These drugs have some aqueous solubility, dissolve from the tablet, and disintegrated tablet fragment in the GI content and are then absorbed and distributed in the body. Second is the multiple compressed tablet. These tablets are prepared to separate physically or chemically incompatible ingredients or to produce repeat action or prolonged action product. The ingredients of the formulation are compressed into a core tablet, and the incompatible substance with other excipients are compressed over the previously compressed core tablet. There are two types of the multiple compressed tablet. First is the layered tablet and second is the compression coated tablet. Both types may be either two component or three component system. Two or three layer tablet, that means a tablet within a tablet or a tablet within a tablet within a tablet. Both types of tablet usually undergo a light compression as each component is let down, with the main compression being the final one. Tablet machine production speeds for multiple compressed tablet are appreciably slower than for standard compressed tablet, especially in the case of the compression coated tablet. The layered tablet is preferred to the compression coated tablet. Surface contact between layers is lessened and production is simple and more rapid. Multiple compressed tablets radially lend themselves to repeat action products wherein one layer of the layered tablet or the outer tablet of the compression coated tablet provides the initial dose, rapidly disintegrating in the stomach. The other layer or the inner tablet is formulated with the components that are insoluble in gastric media but are released in the intestinal environment. The shortcoming of this category of the dosage form for rapid or repeat action product is that its performance is highly dependent on the gastric emptying. If the second layer or core tablet quickly leave the stomach following release of the initial fast release dose, an entirely different blood level profile results. Then, if there is a several hour or longer delay before the second fraction is emptied. Third is the sustained release or sustained action tablet. These tablets, when taken orally, release the medicament in a sufficient quantity as and when required to maintain maximum effective concentration of the drug in the blood. Fourth one is the enteric coated tablets. These tablets are coated with the material which does not disintegrate in stomach but passes through as it is enteric polymer, that is for example hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose phthalate. These tablets dissolve in intestine and are site specific. Fifth is the sugar coated tablet. The compressed tablet with sugar coating are called sugar coated tablets. The primary role of the sugar coating is to provide or produce an elegant, glossy, easy to swallow tablet dosage form, and they also permit separation of the incompatible ingredient between coating and core, and this fact has been widely utilized in preparing many multivitamin and multivitamin mineral combinations. The process as originally developed was time consuming and required skilled coating artisans to be conducted properly. Earlier, sugar coating typically doubled tablet weight. Today, water soluble polymers are often incorporated in the sugar solution. Automated spray coating equipment is employed and high drying efficiency side vented coating pans are used. Because of that, coat weights may be reduced up to 50%. Sugar coating also enhance the appearance and of the drug and protect the drug from the atmospheric effect. For example, multivitamin tablet. Second is the film coated tablet. These are the compressed tablet having a film coating polymer like hydroxypropyl cellulose, ethyl cellulose, hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose. It also protects the formulation from the atmospheric effect. These are tasteless, have increase in the tablet weight and have less elegance. Film coated tablets offer a number of the advantages over sugar coated tablets. These advantages include better mechanical strength of the coating based on the elasticity and flexibility of the polymer coating, little increase in the tablet weight, the ability to retain debossed marking on a tablet through the thin film coating, the avoidance of the sugar which is contraindicated in the diets of the significant segment of the population. Then last is the chewable tablet. These tablets are chewed in mouth and are broken into small pieces. Disintegration time is reduced and rate of the absorption increases. Easily administered for infant and elderly persons like antacid tablets. Tablet used in oral cavity. First is the buccal tablet. These tablets are to be placed in buccal pouch or between the gum and lip or cheek. These tablets dissolve and disintegrated slowly and absorb directly. Second is the sublingual tablet. These tablets are to be placed under the tongue. They dissolve and disintegrated quickly and absorb directly without passing into GI tract. Buccal and sublingual tablets should be formulated with bland excipient which do not stimulate salivation. Buccal and sublingual tablet reduces the fraction of the drug that is swallowed rather than being absorbed through the oral mucosa. These tablets should be designed not to disintegrate but to slowly dissolve, typically over a 15 to 30 minute period to provide for effective absorption. Third one is the lozenge tablet. These tablets are designed to exert a local effect on the mouth or throat. These tablets are usually used in the treatment of the sore throat or control coughing. The tablets are usually used to such drugs as anesthetic, antiseptic, antibacterial agent, demulcent, astringent and antitussive agent. And last is the dental cone. Dental cones are a relatively minor tablet form that are designed to be placed in the empty socket remaining following a tooth extraction. Their usual purpose is to prevent the multiplication of the bacteria in the socket following such extraction by employing a slow releasing antibacterial compound or to reduce bleeding by containing an astringent or coagulant. The usual vehicle of these tablets is sodium bicarbonate, sodium chloride or an amino acid. The tablet should not be formulated with a component that might provide a media for bacterial proliferation. These tablets should be formulated to dissolve or erode slowly in the presence of a small volume of the serum or fluid over a 20 to 40 minute period when loosely packed in the extraction site. Tablet administered by other routes. First is the implantation tablets are known as the depot tablets, which are designed for subcutaneous implantation in animals or man. Their purpose is to provide prolonged drug effects which are ranging from 1 month to a year. They are usually designed to provide constant drug release rate. These tablets are usually small, cylindrical or rosette shaped form and are typically not more than 8 mm in length. These tablets are placed below the skin or inserted subcutaneously by means of a minor surgical operation and are slowly absorbed. These must be sterile and are made by heavy compression and fusion, for example testosterone tablets. Second is vaginal tablets. These tablets are meant to dissolve slowly in vaginal cavity. These are ovoid or pear-shaped and are used to release steroids, antibacterials and antiseptics etc. to avoid infection. For example, clotrimazole tablets. Tablet used to prepare solution. First one is the effervescent tablet. These tablets when added in water produce effervescence, so they dissolve rapidly in water due to the chemical reaction which takes place between alkali bicarbonate and citric acid or tartaric acid. These tablets are to be protected from atmospheric moisture during storage in well-closed container. The advantage of the effervescence tablet as a dosage form is that it provides a means of the preparing a solution containing an accurate drug dose. As in the case of the aspirin, this dosage form may provide other advantage as well. The solution produced by the most widely marketed effervescence aspirin tablet has a pH of about 8. If the volume of the solution and the pH of the solution are adequate to raise the gastric contents to neutral or near neutral pH, the aspirin remains in solution and is rapidly available upon emptying from the stomach. There are some disadvantages of the effervescent tablet is limited utilization and is related to the difficulty of producing a chemically stable product. Even the moisture in the air during product preparation may be adequate to initiate effervescent reactivity. Second is the dispensing tablet. These are intended to be added to a given volume of water to produce a solution of given concentration. The medicament given are silver proteinate and quaternary ammonium compound. These are highly toxic if taken orally and great care must be taken in packaging and labeling. For example, enzyme tablet like Digiplex. Third is the hypodermic tablets. These tablets are composed of one or more drugs with other readily water soluble ingredients and are intended to be added to sterile water or water for injection. Then last is the tablet triturate. These are small cylindrical molded or compressed tablet which contains a potent medicament with a diluent on small scale hand operated, whereas for bulk production automated machines are used, for example enzyme tablet digiplex. Excipients used in the formulation of tablet. First is the diluents. Diluents are fillers designed to make up the required bulk of the tablet when the drug dosage itself is inadequate to produce this bulk. In order to facilitate tablet handling during manufacture and to achieve targeted content uniformity, the tablet size should be kept above 2 to 3 mm and weight of the tablet above 50 mg. Many potent drugs have low dose, for example diazepam, clonidine hydrochloride. In such cases, diluents provide the required bulk of the tablet when the drug dosage itself is inadequate to produce tablet of adequate weight and size. Usually, the range of the diluent may vary from 5 to 80%. Diluents make the required bulk of the tablet when the drug dosage itself is inadequate to produce tablet of adequate weight and size. Diluents are often added to tablet formulation for secondary reason to provide better tablet properties such as improve cohesion, to enhance flow, to allow direct compression manufacturing, to adjust weight of the tablet as per the die capacity. Diluents are added in formulation of tablet. They must meet certain basic criteria for the satisfactory performance in tablet dosage form. For example, diluent should not react with the drug substance. Diluent should not have any effect on the function of the other excipient. It should not have any physiological or pharmacological activity, and it should have consistent physical and chemical characteristics. It should be able to be mild, that is the size reduction, if necessary in order to match the particle size distribution of the active pharmaceutical ingredient. It should neither adversely affect the dissolution of the product nor interfere with the viability of the active pharmaceutical ingredient. It should preferably be colorless or nearly so. Tablet diluents or filler can be divided into following categories like organic diluents and inorganic diluents. Carbohydrate substances such as sugar, starch and cellulose may also function as the binder during wet granulation process, while in direct compression system it is used as a organic diluent. Inorganic diluents do not exhibit binding properties when used in wet granulation and direct compression as a diluent, for example calcium phosphate. Second is disintegrating agent or disintegrants. It is an important excipient of the tablet formulation which are added to tablet to induce breakup of the tablet when it comes in contact with aqueous fluid, and this process of desegregation of the constituent particle before the drug dissolution occurs is known as disintegration process, and excipient which induces this process are known as the disintegrants. The objective behind addition of the disintegrants are to increase surface area of the tablet fragments and to overcome cohesive forces that keep our particles together into a tablet. A disintegrant is added to most tablet formulation to facilitate a breakup or disintegration of the tablet when placed in a aqueous environment. Disintegrating agent can be added either prior to granulation or prior to compression or at the both processing step. Extra granular fraction of the disintegrant, which is usually 50% of the total disintegrants required, facilitates breakup of the tablet to granules, and the intragranular addition of the disintegrants produce further erosion of the granules to fine particles. The tablet breaks to primary particles by one or more of the mechanisms which are discussed further. First is the by capillary action. Disintegration by capillary action is always the first step. When we put the tablet into suitable aqueous medium, the medium penetrates into the tablet and replaces the air adsorbed on the particles, which weakens the intermolecular bond and break the tablet into fine particles. Water uptake by tablet depends upon hydrophilicity of the drug or excipients and on tableting conditions. For these types of disintegrants, maintenance of the porous structure and low interfacial tension towards aqueous fluid is necessary, which help in disintegration by creating a hydrophilic network around the drug particles. Second is by swelling. Perhaps the most widely accepted general mechanism of action for tablet disintegration is swelling tablet with high porosity, so poor disintegration due to the lack of the adequate swelling force. On the other hand, sufficient swelling force is exerted in the tablet with low porosity. Then third is the due to the release of the gases carbon dioxide released within tablet on wetting due to the interaction between bicarbonate and carbonate with the citric acid or tartaric acid. The tablet disintegrates due to the generation of the pressure within the tablet. This effervescent mixture is used when a pharmacist needs to formulate very rapidly dissolving tablet or fast disintegrating tablet. Then fourth is the due to deformation. It is proved that during tablet compression, disintegrated particles get deformed, and these deformed particles get into their normal structure when they come in contact with the aqueous media or water. Third is glidant. Glidants are added to the formulation to improve the flow properties of the material, which is to be fed into the die cavity and aid in particle rearrangement within the die during the early stage of the compression. If the flow properties are extremely poor, then glidants are ineffective and consideration of force-free mechanism may be necessary. Starch is a popular glidant because it has additional value of disintegrant. Concentration of starch is common up to 10% but should be limited, otherwise it will worsen the flow of the material. Talc is a glidant which is superior to starch, but its concentration should be limited because it has retardant effect on dissolution disintegration profile. There are some siliceous material like colloidal silica, for example, siloid, pyrogenic silica, hydrated sodium silioaluminate are also successfully used to induce flow property. Glidants act by interposing their particles between those of material and lower the overall interparticulate friction of the system by virtue of their reduced adhesive tendencies. These glidants are intended to promote flow of the tablet granulation or powder materials by reducing friction between the particles. Fourth is lubricants. Lubricants are intended to reduce the friction during tablet formation in a die and also during ejection from die cavity. Lubricants are the agents that act by reducing friction by interposing an intermediate layer between the tablet constituents and the die wall during compression and ejection. Solid lubricants act by boundary mechanism results from the adherence of the polar portion of the molecule with long carbon chains to the metal surfaces to the die wall. Magnesium stearate is an example of boundary lubricant. Other is hydrodynamic mechanism, that is the fluid lubrication, where two moving surfaces are separated by the finite and continuous layer of fluid lubricant. Since adherence of the solid lubricant to the die wall is more than that of the fluid lubricants, solid lubricants are more effective and more frequently used. Surface area is an important parameter for deciding the lubricant efficacy or lubricant efficiency. Lubricants with high surface area are more sensitive to change in mixing time than lubricant with low surface area. Therefore, lubricant mixing time should be kept at minimum. Tooling used to compress the tablet is important for the deciding type and level of the lubricant used. Additional lubricants is often added to the tablet formulation that are to be compressed with curved face punches. Further, the amount of lubricant increases as the particle size of the granulation decreases, but its concentration should not exceed to 1% for producing maximum flow rate. Lack of adequate lubrication produces binding, which can result in tablet machine strain and can lead to damage of lower punch head, lower cam track, die sheets and the tooling itself. And lubricants are classified according to their water solubility, that is the water insoluble and water soluble. Selection of lubricant is depend partially on the mode of the administration, type of tablets, desired disintegration and dissolution properties, including physicochemical properties of a granule and powder and their cost. Primarily, lubricants are required to act at the tooling or material surface. Lubricants should be incorporated in the final mixing step after granulation is complete. When hydrophobic lubricants are added to a granulation process, they form a coat around the individual particles, that is the granules, which may cause an increase in the disintegration time and a decrease in the drug dissolution rate. Presence of lubricants may result in a less cohesive and mechanically weaker tablet because it may interfere with the particle-particle bonding. These lubricants are two types. First one is the water-soluble lubricant. Water-soluble lubricants are used when a tablet is completely soluble or when unique disintegration and dissolution characteristics are required. Tablet containing soluble lubricant show higher dissolution rate than tablet with insoluble lubricant. Physical mixture of these lubricant, for example SLS or MLS with stearates, can lead to the best compromise in the term of the lubricity, table strength and disintegration process. And other is water insoluble lubricants. These are most effective and used at reduced concentration than water soluble lubricants. Since these lubricants function by coating Their effectiveness is related with their surface area, extent of particle size reduction, time, procedure of addition and length of the mixing. For example, talc, waxes, liquid paraffin used as a insoluble lubricant, while boric acid, sodium benzoate, sodium oleate, sodium acetate used as a soluble lubricant. Fifth, binding agents are binders. Binder is one of an important excipient to be added in tablet formulation. These are the substances that promote cohesiveness. It is utilized for converting powder into granules through a process known as granulation. The uniformity of the particle size, hardness, disintegration and compressibility of the granulation depends on type and quantity of binder added to formulation. As for example, hard granulation results due to stronger binder are a highly concentrated binder solution which require excessive compression force during tableting. On the other hand, fragile granulation results due to insufficient quantity of binder which segregates easily. Larger quantity of granulating liquid produce a narrower particle size range and coarser and hard granules. That means the proportion of the fine granulate particles decreases. Therefore, the optimum quantity of liquid needed to get a given particle size should be known in order to keep a batch to batch variation to a minimum. Due to ease of manufacture, product stability and high efficiency, the use of the direct compression for tableting has increased. For direct compression, directly compressible binders are required which should exhibit adequate powder compressibility and flowability. Direct compression binders should be selected on the basis of the compression behavior, volume reduction under applied pressure and flow behavior in order to have optimum binding performance. Hydroxypropylmethylcellulose, polyvinylpyrrolidone and polyethylene glycol used as a binding agent are binders. Sixth is antioxidants and preservative. Antioxidants are molecules that slow or prevent the oxidation of other chemicals. Oxidation reactions are chemical reactions that involve the transfer of electrons from one substance to an oxidizing agent. Antioxidants slow these reactions either by reacting with intermediates and halting the oxidation reaction directly, or reacting with the oxidizing agent themselves and preventing the oxidation reaction from occurring. Antioxidants are added to pharmaceutical formulation as redox system, possessing higher oxidative potential than the drug, and they are designed to protect or a chain inhibitor of the radical induced decomposition. The antioxidant may be categorized as true antioxidant or synergist. Antioxidants are added to maintain product stability. They act by being preferentially oxidized and gradually consumed over shelf life of the product. An ideal antioxidant should possess the following properties: effective in low concentration, soluble in oxidizable products, they are stable and effective over a wide range of the pH, they are odorless, tasteless and should not impart a color to the product, non-toxic and non-irritant at effective concentration. Decomposition products should be non-toxic and non-irritant. Preservative. A preservative may be defined as a substance which is added to a preparation to prevent microbial growth and subsequent spoilage of the preparation. Preservative interfere with microbial growth, multiplication and metabolism through one or more of the following discussed mechanisms, like modification of cell membrane permeability and leakage of the cell constituent, lysis and cytoplasmic leakage, irreversible coagulation of cytoplasmic constituent like protein precipitation, inhibition of cellular metabolism such as by interfering with enzyme system or inhibition of the cell wall synthesis, oxidation of cellular constituent and by hydrolysis. An ideal preservative should possess the following properties like it should be effective against a broad spectrum of microorganisms in low concentration. It should be odorless, tasteless, colorless and soluble in proposed vehicle. It should be soluble enough in water to achieve adequate concentration in the aqueous phase of a system with two or more phases. The preservative should have adequate stability and not be reduced in concentration by chemical decomposition. The preservative should be completely compatible with all other ingredients and not interfere with them. The preservative should not adversely affect the preparation's container or closure. Seventh is color, flavor and sweetening agent. First is the color. Colors neither contribute to therapeutic activity nor do they improve product viability or stability but are incorporated into dosage forms such as tablet, suspension, emulsion, etc. for the purpose like to facilitate identification of similar looking products within product line to avoid mix-up, to facilitate identification of products of similar appearance that exist in the line of different manufacturers, and they are used for the overcoming color change on aging, disguising of color drugs to enhance the aesthetic appearance of the product to have better patient acceptance. Coloring agent can be natural from plant, mineral and animal color, and they are maybe synthetic like dyes and lakes. Most widely used colorant are dye and lake which are FDA approved. The availability of natural vegetable colors is limited and these colors are generally unstable. Lakes are dye that have been absorbed on a hydrous oxide and usually employed as dry powder for coloring. Flavoring agent. The flavoring of the different pharmaceutical companies applies primarily to liquid intended for oral administration. The selection of an appropriate flavoring agent depend on several factors, primarily the taste of the drug substance itself. Certain flavoring materials are more effective than others in masking the particular bitter, salty, sour or otherwise undesirable taste of the medicinal agents. Flavors are added to tablet formulation in order to make them palatable enough in case of chewable tablet by improving the taste. Flavors are commonly used to improve the taste of chewable tablets as well as mouth dissolving tablets. Flavors are incorporated either as solid or oils or aqueous flavor. Sweetening agent. Sweetening agents are used to impart sweetness to a preparation. All drugs for oral use may not be having an agreeable taste and often the disagreeable taste is to be masked. Sweetness increases the palatability of liquid oral preparation. Sweetness are also added to tablet formulation to improve the taste of the chewable tablet. They are often found in conjunction with the flavoring agent. Formulation consideration. Different components for formulation of tablet used in addition to active ingredients which may be selected to provide essential manufacturing function. All non-drug components of a formula are termed as excipient and it play a major role in determining its quality and performance. In formulation of tablet, excipients are selected having certain properties like low cost, inert in nature, commercially available. Excipients which are used in the formulation of the tablet, they must have the following properties like they must be non-toxic and acceptable to the regulatory agencies in all countries where the product is to be marketed. Their cost must be acceptably low. They must be commercially available in an acceptable grade in all countries where the product is to be manufactured. That excipient must not be contraindicated by themselves, for example sucrose, or because of a component like sodium in any segment of the population. These excipients must be physiologically inert and must be physically and chemically stable by themselves and in combination with the drug and other tablet components. They must be free of any unacceptable microbiological load and must be color compatible. And if the drug product is also classified as food, for example certain vitamin products, the diluents and other excipients must be approved direct food additive. And last is they must have no deleterious effect on the bioavailability of the drug in the product. Thank you.